Greetings, I'm CrazedNaly and welcome back to Starmade. It's been quite a while since I've actually shown anything from Starmade. Mainly because I've been busy with getting things together. I've worked hard with my videos to make it to where I'm actually, at the point I'm at, I am 2 to 3 weeks ahead on everything, to where I'm no longer as stressed about getting things out at times, to where, you know, if I have a major event, like what happened was I had a family affair, I had a funeral I had to go to, and not only did preparing for that take time, but I was, of course, grieving and miserable for weeks on end. And when I got done with all that, and you know, the funeral itself actually relieved a lot of that. When I got out of it, I actually felt quite a bit better, but then I looked at the amount of footage I had, looked at how much I got done, and realized that I had nothing at all for the next week, and I had 2 to 3 days to film. So I panicked. And I panicked well, I'd say, because I had recorded 2 to 3 weeks worth of material for all but one of my series, and then just this week I decided I'm going to make that totally rounded, and I made another series 2 to 3 weeks ahead, so I have lots of time. So in that time, I've been doing 2 things, one of which I'll tell you later, but the main one I've been doing is putting this ship, bringing the Nally cruiser, and I have decided that I don't think I'll be truly calling it the Nally cruiser, bringing the Nally cruiser to a point to where I can show you what I've done with it. Like, I haven't done anything with the interior except I did 1 deck worth of floor, but that's not what I've been really working on. As you can see, I've been working a bit more on the rough outer hull of the ship. I believe the last time I showed you guys, I only had this top deck slightly done and like a little bit of the side. And that was it. That was almost a month and a half ago. So, shadows are weird in this game sometimes. I do have a working cannon, and the super cannon is still the same. And then I've added other weapons. But first I'm going to just kind of pan around and show you the different features of this. This is going to be the fighter hangar. And it's going to kind of go out to the back and then merge to the front. And then I'm thinking about doing something with pole lights, but I'm still playing with it. And that's the fighter landing bay. And then I have, down here, I have decorative stuff. I have, like I originally had out here, I had the missile launchers and stuff, but my original design didn't have anything resembling wings to the side. It's a spaceship, it doesn't need that, and it didn't work with my aesthetic. So I moved everything around. I completely reconstructed most of the weapons. Like, the antimatter cannons used to be up there, but they look dumb, especially since I had to put hole in front of them to get the shape right. They're the same strength as the original guided missile launchers, but there's 10 of them instead of just 6, I believe is what I had before, and they're a bit more powerful because of it. And because of where I placed them, they have a much better firing arc. I probably will test that in a bit. And then I have, this is going to be the landing craft bay, because it doesn't have as much room. I'm seriously considering making a full-on bay full of personnel carriers and tank carriers, inspired by the Alien films and by the I forget what they're called, the ones that drop the walkers in Attack of the Clones. One of those, they drop the MP-ATs, I believe is what the walkers were called. Got a few decorative lights going on here. Bit of a shield. I'm thinking about putting either some other form of antimatter cannon, but more than likely I'm gonna put in here, I'm gonna put a tractor beam or a push beam, and it would be down here. Like, I do have a camera here to fire. I'll put another one down there, and I'll use that to drag or push things around. But I worked hard to get... This is definitely not the finished product in terms of the hull. It's a rough shell. Got something kind of resembling thrusters. A few open spots there. Oh well. And then a lot of open spots here, because I'm not exactly sure about how I'm going to deal with the beveled edges and stuff. Not really, but, you know, decorative engines are here. And then I'm going to put more systems in here. Definitely thrusters for sure. If not, I might put generators as well. I know I'm going to, for a little bit more power generation, just a little more, I'm going to place different power, like make the floor, the decks, one block, and in the middle, make it 3 blocks high, and in the middle have rows of generators and capacitors. And do that with every deck. Because I don't need a million decks anyway. It's a little bit of flare. Different turrets. I've put a lot of thought into where I'm going to be putting turrets, like here and here. Put a lot more decorative details. The nut. I'm actually surprised at how well it turned out. I was worried it was going to look utterly crappy, but the Naly nut that I put on it looks great, and I'm going to definitely put some sort of like penthouse up here somehow. I'm going to have to toy with that. Somewhere I'm putting a disco too, because every warship needs a space disco. I don't know if you've realized that. The main docking airlock, it's just a square right now, but it's going to be more decorative when I'm done. It's going to be to where I can line it up with a station, and that's in the long term. I'm going to have a station that I can dock this with. Then it'll be enormous. Like, if you think this is big, well, it isn't going to be as big as the station. It's going to be one of the bigger craft, though. Oh, and miner's shuttle bays. Pretty much to be a quick way to get to the bridge, or a quick way to leave. Has a lot of shuttle bays, actually. I'm surprised. Probably the personnel craft will go there, and the tank craft will go down there. And, you know, serendipitous. I just like the way that turned out, and I put glass on top of it. The bridge has really nothing right now. I'm gonna add, you know, I'm probably going to make this a solid wall or something and make the bridge here. But it already looks like it's going to work. I like the new beacon blocks, even if they only work half the time. Even if not, they look just fine as lights, but these beacons look great as safety lights. And I'm really interested in the logic system, which wasn't around when I first started. I could make blinking lights. Might be useful for the, you know, the disco as well, to make the floor. We'll see. We'll definitely see. But, switch over. We have the camera here still. And then we have the camera here. I move... Like, where I had the antimatter cannons is now completely covered in hull. It was the worst place ever to put it. But let's look at our stats real quick. They say the mass. The mass is... It is 350,489.1, or 3 million... Yeah, 3,504,891 blocks, and that's without the, without any of the innards and without the smoothing, which will probably make that almost double by the time I'm done. Although I'm actually not going to smooth it out completely. I like certain, like, I kind of like implying different panel lines and such, but like these, I like leaving different panel lines intact. So I won't be, there are certain areas I'm not going to smooth as much as you might think, but I'm going to do a lot of smoothing. See, length, I know I'm over 1 kilometer long, but I am 1,114 meters long, which translates to, if you're from America land like I am and think more in feet, 3,342 feet. Not a mile, like 3/4 of a mile, if I recall. Height 358. Width is, of course, the lowest at 199. And it's tempting just to add another block. That'd be asymmetrical. I can only make it like 201. Power. Power is I actually reduced a little bit of the power, and I'm regretting that. It used to be at like 17.4 million. Now it's at 17 million. I'm definitely, it'll increase when I add the floors, add the deck floors with the power generation beneath them. But I'm probably going to add an addition to the generator and back. I might even delete the thruster blocks and rearrange them, because I need to add more anyway, and I might rearrange them to where I can make the generator another giant block. Thrust, that's kind of the weakest part. It's only about 26,000. It takes a good 10 to 12 seconds to get to full speed, if I recall, and I didn't like that. I don't need it to be hyper fast, but I like to get to full speed in like 6 or 7 seconds, I think. So I'm going to have to play with that and add more. Turning speed is, of course, crap. There's no way you can possibly make a ship this big without it being crap. And a little over, let's see, what if I got there? 20 million shields? Or is it 2 million? Yeah, 20 million shields. Alright, back to this. So, the different weapons. We got our regular cannon, which is great for... It takes out about 3/4 of the energy bar. It is no different from what was originally shown. We got the... So they look great when fired. And they're hyper powerful. They're about the 1/4 of the size of the main cannon, and as you can see, they can fire again in like 4 or 5 seconds. So they're actually more the mainstay cannons, and they don't use as much power. And they're homing. So there's that. I love debris in this game. Like, this definitely wasn't in when I was more active about a year ago, and I mean, it even reacts to physics. It's amazing. Just had to geek out and play with the debris for a moment, like a frying pan. And then we have, I don't need to do that, what I call the lag cannons. I'll fire them once I test something else. Damage beam. Alright, sorry about that. I had to reset my... It actually somehow, to me, looks better under normal lighting. It just does, for some reason. It uses better shading. Like, it's bathed in darkness in the advanced shading options. This is what I played in most of the time. Honestly, it looks better than when it has full shading, for the most part. I mean, you get the aliasing stuff and the weird geometrical things, but that's what you get when you build ships made of blocks and reticulating patterns and shit. Say, back to what we were doing. I was trying to show this off. I have the beams used to be, when I originally built the weapons, I'd only built the systems and had started building the hull here, and I knew it was a problem. They were originally here. Everything was here. Whoa, what did I do there? gonna have to fix that later. But I had my antimatter cannons here. I had a little bit of power generation. I had the beams. It was all covered by this, so it was like, that was the dumbest thing I could have done. So I rearranged those, and those are now down here. And the laser, I kind of wanted to be the same position though, but I made it in a slightly better way, and I had one big laser that was like here, and it was alright, but this has great aiming, and it's a beam cannon combo, so it's forever firing with punch through, so whee! I can just carve things up now. It's actually, yeah, it just instantly core kills on small craft. And I've tested it on larger craft too. It's a great way to just, you know, especially if they're disabled or crippled, or if their core, you can hit their core, just switch to this, and it barely uses any power, but it punches through armor like crazy. Like, all of that was advanced armor. I don't build in standard armor at all, even for interior stuff, because I feel like if it's punching through, it should have to punch through the hardest crap. So, and I'm not concerned about weight or budget, since I build this like I'm in creative mode. Say, I can probably clear every block before this gets... Let's say, I think that's it, yeah. And the debris has the textures of the previous blocks it used to be. It's just great. I can't wait to see how that looks in like the final release. And we have our, let's see, yeah, perfect. I wish I could have it fire while in build mode, but I guess that doesn't make sense. But then I have the cannon computer. The cannon computer is the big reason why I'm going to be adding some more generators and stuff. Good firing rate, but it's in a place that comes together well. Because I pay attention to other people's videos and designs of their ships. Even though it is kind of glitchy right now. But it's good for just building things. But as you can see, it really... Sustained fire is not... It's actually almost as bad as my main cannon. Although it takes much longer. Provided it does a lot of damage. You don't have to fire it continuously at all. Like, I was testing it on my old ships. Like, I floated up my sulfur class and stuff and started firing at it and went right through it like butter. Coupled with the missiles, it's good. You just fire it like whoosh. You don't fire it constantly. None of the weapons here have to be fired often. These are actually turrets from the sulfur class I was testing on. Well, maybe I do need sustained fire. Kill that turret. Thank you. And just take a while to reload. And then, I do have a jump drive on this ship. So let me get to a good view. To where you can see it. I'm gonna get this jump drive, stop moving. Get this jump drive going. See how long it goes. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Say, last time I timed this was like 10 or 11 seconds, and that's not that bad considering the size of this ship. I might add a few more jump drop blocks in order to offset the inside that's going to go in, but I never intended this to be some sort of fast in and out thing. I just wanted it to not take 10 minutes to charge. But yeah, this sucker goes all the way. And I don't know why. I was flying here too. This area does not have a procedural background. And I have them enabled. But this one is pure black with stars. And I never understood that. Wow. But yeah. Jumped back pretty easily. I love the jump drive in this game and how simple it is to use. And that you can actually put in coordinates. You don't need like hyperdrive style giant coordinates or anything for it to work. But it actually matches my original design pretty well. I got inspired from a lot of things, mainly anime with this one. I'm not gonna say I'm like the Salamis or anything, but there's a little bit of Star Trek in there. There's a little bit of Gundam, a little bit of every little thing I've ever seen, especially the angular, sharp shapes and things, and the general gun shape of it. I wanted to have something that, and like I also point out, like the Zumwalt destroyer, I love that design, and I incorporate that into the bridge. I wanted it to be naval, but not in an I didn't want it to be a boat with engines. At least not really. I wanted it to be something that clearly came from a boat, like long ways back, and then was gradually built into this kind of idea. And I think I did it. I have a primary and a secondary hull and engineering and stuff that isn't Star Trek either. I'm a big Trekkie, but I don't want Star Trek elements. I didn't want side things at all. That's why I was upset when I had the missiles too far out to the side. I think I even complained about it last video, but I think it looks nice. It just needs smoothing. It needs the interior, and then maybe a tractor beam. I'm thinking a tractor beam, but the weapons are pretty well set. But anyway, as I said, this was two things I was working on this week and last week, really pushing to get done. The other, I don't know if any of you guys, it doesn't always cross over into gaming, obviously, but you know, if you guys have ever heard of NaNoWriMo, if you guys are amateur writers or into writing and such, NaNoWriMo is a big, not really a competition, it's more of a challenge or a call to arms for young novelists and such to write a novel. Their challenge is 50,000 words in 1 month, and you can't write any of it ahead of time. They always pick November. NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month, I believe, is what it's like an acronym, portmanteau, I don't know, of those words together. And they're really supportive. They'll get like guest writers and speakers to talk to people about it, and they'll give little semi-prizes for completing the challenge, and they'll give you a guide on previous winners. Like, there's a small chance somebody could see you and publish you, but it's not a real big deal. I do have a little bit of details, and this part is definitely not going to stay flat. Don't worry about that. There's no way I'm leaving it this boring. But I was just throwing this is like a sketch. But anyway, the goal is to write a novel, a fiction novel, that's at least 50,000 words. And that sounds like a lot, but you'd be surprised how little that actually is. And I've written essays that were longer than that back when I was in school. And there's things like, you know, like they give different comparisons. Their favorite one is to point out that their requirement is actually longer than Of Mice and Men. Of Mice and Men is about 47,000 words, and they are asking for 50. And they don't care what genre you write in, they don't care what your writing style, so long as it is fiction, that it follows their word requirements, and that it is, you know, intelligible. You cannot write the same word 50,000 times. And they'll give you tools, and, you know, they're part of the validation, too. They'll give you a word counter, and every day you put in the amount of words and such. And I have been working on a story idea. Forgive me for rambling about this. I'll try to be a little quicker to end this. But I am working on a sort of sci-fi slash fantasy novel about this place called Barra. I had a stupid idea during 4th of July. During the 4th, we were just joking around and making America jokes, and I was talking about we should take America and separate it from the continental shelf and put engines on it and guns, and instead of a navy, we send it onto the water and send it to war. Yeah. And we laughed about it, but then I thought about that, you know, it was like, you know, I don't think anyone's really written that exact idea. I mean, like, cities on the water and such, but imagine an entire world, not our world, that puts nations out and makes them seaworthy, and what that entails, like fuel. Like, they wouldn't be able to stand still enough to have oil deposits, so they'd be doing biofuel, and, you know, how it affects their technology. Like, they'd have faster wireless technology, but they might not have all that great of locomotive, and some of their naval stuff. Like, they might not have an aircraft carrier for a little while because they would already be at each other's doorstep. Why bother with long range, etc., etc. Wars would be shorter because they'd run out of fuel, and they'd need to have to grow to get more biofuel. And, you know, I have this whole idea in my head, and it just grew and grew, and I'm like, you know what? I have writer friends that have talked about NaNoWriMo. I finally have a 50,000 word idea. In fact, I have an entire series idea. Pretty much, you know, World War II tech. World War II in this sort of, obviously not the same kind of people and the same kind of conflict, but, you know, that kind of technology and scale of war with this unique, with these countries that can travel through the water. If I can, I'll try to get a picture. I drew the map. I've written an outline that's actually a small essay of its own. It's about a third of a notebook I just filled with outline. And I still have to finish that. I have about 2 or 3 days at this point. And that's where the bad news comes in with this. This ship is going to be put on ice. This is the part I've been getting to. The ship will be put on hold for the greater part of a month, if not a little bit over a month, because I have a book to write. I've been waiting since July to write this, and doing all sorts of outlining and brainstorming and listening to music and researching technology and fuel and all sorts of things. And I have a story, and I've been wanting to write it. I'm going to. And this doesn't mean the channel itself is going to go into hibernation or anything. What this means is anything extra for the channel isn't really going to happen for a month. I'm not going to be working on this ship. I'm not going to be posting Starmade videos. You might not see as many like offshoot videos or random videos at all. I am toying with the idea of doing just regular face cam updates on the book to let you know how it's doing. But this month I'm doing my normal series is for the channel, and I'm writing this book. That's it. So don't expect me to post any updates on this ship for a while. I will finish this ship. I will come back to it. I put way too much time into it not to. But I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I'm going to. So please bear with me. If you're lucky, maybe you'll be able to see the fruits of my labor there. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you like my ship. A lot of people didn't like the shape of the ship to start with, but there wasn't much of a shape there. I think they only saw like the top of that and thought it was just going to be a block ship. And I now that you can see I've put a little bit more geometry and a little bit more roundness, maybe you guys will like it more. But I tried not to make it the block ships I see all the time. I put a lot of effort into the curves and the whole shape. But anyway, if you like what you see, if you like my ship, if you want to support me with the book and want to learn more about it, you can comment and ask questions. I won't give you plot, because you never know, I might publish it or something. And it's no fun to tell you the entire book. I'll tell you a brief synopsis or something. Pretty much, people on the ocean, their countries move like boats, with guns and shit. So, yeah. If you liked what you saw, you like my book writing exploits, you like my Starmade ships, and want to see more, want to give me shipbuilding ideas. Like, I finished the Satellite of Love about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that got a lot of good reception. If there's another ship you'd like me to try that hasn't been done to death, like if you say the Enterprise, I'm gonna laugh at you, because there's 4 or 5 different Enterprises. In fact, I might, like Gaiuson's, I might download and have a fleet of his ships for this to go up against. Please put it in the comments. But if you like what you saw, hit the like button. And as always, click the nut on your way out.